Hello and welcome to Q4 Risk Soundbites. I'm going to touch on just three key areas of risk in this session, namely remote working, well-being and regulatory changes. So touching first on remote working, we know the landscape has altered quite dramatically and brought forward at some pace changes for law practices. Those have been necessary, obviously, to continue to be able to deliver efficient legal services. Flexible working that involves a mix of on-site, in-office and home, or perhaps another base from where the work is now going to be done, is likely to be with us for the foreseeable future. And it's worth mentioning, I think, that firms that can't offer remote working may well lose out to those who can. But vigilance with cyber security and protection of data really still needs to be addressed, of course, and ensuring that those accessing your systems remotely have proper multi-factor authenticity safeguards in place, not to be forgotten, of course. Next area of risk worthy of mention for this session is well-being. There's been more focus on the mental health and well-being of staff, rightly so. Problems, of course, may be less obvious or easily visible given the way that we're working. And there have to be systems in place to quickly identify and provide warnings that need to be acted on and I think regularly kept under review to include, for example, detection of work overloads where that arises. Thirdly and finally, on the risk register, it is worth noting that, of course, keeping abreast of new legislation and regulatory changes, that's always been a key part of our challenge, the practitioner's challenge, but the scale of these changes is really not going to abate, I'm sure you'll know. So areas such as property law, that's set for an overhaul, addressing areas such as ground rent, leasehold enfranchisement, the future of planning and building safety, with much more. In the field of criminal law, there is going to be tougher sentences, we're told, proposed by the current government. The victim support regime is now set to change. And of course, there are ongoing immigration issues, not least of which created by Brexit and other matters, but also reforms in the area of social care with changes to the Mental Health Act also on the agenda, with education reforms in the pipeline. Finally, just in this area, a note about Professor Mason's report to the government submitted earlier this year. He's addressed the need for future regulatory reforms in the area of legal services delivery, and that is well worth a look, I suggest, so that you can be aware of what may be coming down the track in terms of regulatory changes for the future. That's all I'm going to say for now. I hope those three risk areas are, as I say, on your risk radar and something to be remain aware of. Thank you.